Good afternoon. We are excited to have you with us today, whether you're here in the chapel or listening on Zoom or watching the videos later on. The passage that we are looking at this week on Rehoboam, I shared yesterday that I've studied this passage quite a bit, and I really believe that out of all of the books and articles that I have seen on the subject of servant leadership, I think this particular passage is the best resource I've ever come upon in terms of really demonstrating the value of leading people as a servant and not as a lord or as a taskmaster. And when you read through the story, you see so clearly in that had Rehoboam just heeded the advice of the wise elders, things would have gone so much different for him. Because, you see, Rehoboam did not understand the leadership law of connection. Because that law, which we're looking at this week, says that leaders have to touch a heart before they can ask for a hand. And in fact, that pretty well encapsulates this leadership law. Touch the heart first, then ask for a hand. We'll get into that here as the day goes on with our time here. So today we want to focus on this one thought: connecting with the people is the leader's responsibility. It must start with the leader and not with the followers. So John Maxwell talks about an experience that he had when he was a youngster growing up just north of Chillicothe here in Circleville, Ohio. And he records this in another of his books called Becoming a Person of Influence. And he shares the story about how there was a GE yard not far from his house, and he would want to go out there when he was a kid and watch the trains. So the relevant part of the story is that Maxwell observed that the cars never pulled forward to connect with the locomotive. Instead, it was the locomotive that always backed up until it hooked with the cars. In the same way, great leaders don't expect their people to move forward to latch onto them. Instead, they reach out to their people and they initiate the effort to make the connection. So that's what we're going to discuss today. And we'll take a deeper dive into the story of Rehoboam. So this issue of connecting with people. On the one hand, connecting with people isn't difficult, but it does take a lot of effort. It takes a lot of initiative. So a leader has to be proactive and not reactive if you're going to make a connection with people. So I want to share 4 principles of making connection with people and how Rehoboam violated all 4 of them. Well, at least we give him credit for consistency. So these 4 principles are: 1, when you move your people with emotion first, they are more willing to take action. 2nd, when you give first, your people will give in return. 3rd, when you connect with individuals, soon you will gain the attention of crowds. 4, when you reach out to your people, they will reach back toward you. So those are all good points, but let's unpack them a little bit here this afternoon. So let's talk a little bit about moving people with emotion or with our heart first. When we look into the story, Rehoboam was absolutely, completely unconcerned for the welfare of his people. He was really concerned about one thing, and that's if he pointed the finger back to himself, because that was what he was concerned with: his reputation, his ego. He was completely unconcerned for the welfare of the people. How do we know that? Well, the elders gave him sound advice. Notice in the story, the elders say, if you will serve them now, in this one instance, just one instance, if you'll serve them, they will serve you their entire life. Think about that exchange. And yet, the Bible says that he rejected their advice. It wasn't even that he thought the younger people's advice were better. He rejected the elders' advice before they even had a chance to weigh in. What does that tell us? That he really wanted to hear what he wanted to hear. And when the elders didn't share with him what he wanted to hear, he immediately rejected that. So that tells us that he wasn't concerned with his people. Kind of unbelievable, isn't it, that given that advice, that anybody would reject that, but that's exactly what Rehoboam did. So just to share a key point then in this, when you are open to your people's needs, they will be open to your vision. There's a proportional relationship there. When you take action to meet their needs, they'll take action to meet your vision. That's the way it works, because they will go to the wall for a leader that they know cares about them and puts their needs first. That's really the principle. So let's talk about giving first. If only Rehoboam had accepted the advice of the elders, how much better, I mean, think about it, how much better would things have gone, not just for him, but the entire nation of Israel? But Rehoboam would not even stoop to serve them because he was completely consumed with being served. And so in the end, what happened? The people didn't serve him. They chose another leader, and 10 out of 12 tribes rebelled. So he didn't get what he wanted any more than they didn't get what they wanted. And he ended up the biggest loser. So consider then this paradox of leadership. As a leader, you get more by giving more, not by taking more. And the reason why that is true is because when you give, and when you give more, what comes back to you is not just what you gave. It's hard to explain it, but the best way I can do it is to say that there's like a multiplying effect when you're a giver. It just doesn't come back to you what you gave, you get back more. Now, you don't give to get, that's for sure, but that's just what happens when you are focusing on giving to your people and helping them grow and helping them become everything that God wants them to become. They will give back to you and more. So that multiplying effect makes a huge difference. And isn't it interesting then, when we look at one particular passage in the New Testament, this was a statement that Jesus said, what's it more blessed to do, to give or to receive? I think we all know the answer to that. He said it's more blessed to give than it is to receive. So give first, and then watch what happens. The people will give back. Third, then, is this issue of connecting. You connect with individuals, and you gain the attention of the crowds. Now, going back to the story, notice how just incredibly little attention Rehoboam paid to the people. They came to him, and that's a whole other point that we'll get to in just a minute. They approached him, but he didn't bother to inquire about, well, what were their burdens? How were they being overtaxed or overburdened? He didn't inquire about the impact that his father's decision had on the people. He just had no clue and didn't want to get a clue about how they were doing. All he did was he heard their complaint and said, come back in 3 days and I'll give you a decision. And in the meantime, what did he do? He just went to the elders, rejected their advice, went to his friends, accepted their advice, but he never inquired about how the people were doing. Not once. Because that just didn't enter into his mind. Now, not so much related to the story, but I thought I would just add a little added bonus at no extra charge for you all. And that is, many of you, because you have a leadership position, you get an opportunity to speak in front of groups. And even if it's a large group, one of the best things that you can do is find that friendly face out there in the crowd and make a connection with those couple of people, rather than just kind of talking above the crowd or don't talk at them, talk with them, and make that connection point. Look them in the eye, because you'll always have those couple of people who are really with you, or they're just really friendly, and so it makes it easier, and it actually makes it less anxious for you to have that kind of connection. So for whatever that's worth, if that's helpful to you, God bless you. Take it and run with it however you want to. All right. Reach out to people and they will reach out to you. It sounds like a telephone ad or something. Reach out and touch somebody. So how did the initial confrontation between Rehoboam and the people come about? What we're really looking at is who initiated the conversation. It wasn't Rehoboam. It was the people. They had to come to him with a problem because he was completely unaware of what was going on with them. Probably more significant and more problematic for him is not only was he unaware, he was completely unconcerned. Even after they told him what the problem was, he was still unconcerned about their welfare. So Rehoboam demonstrates the principle, of course in reverse, that the leader needs to initiate communication with their people, not wait until they bring their concerns to the leader's attention. Does that make sense? And what do you think what it would say about a leader if that leader was already aware of people's concerns? If because he was asking or she was asking and getting feedback, how much respect that would garner for that leader, because then the people are going to know, they're going to say, hey, this person really cares about me and really wants me to do well. That's when you have loyalty to you as a leader. That's just undeniable. And it'll make your leadership journey that much more successful. So be an initiator. Leadership is always about going first. In fact, I've heard some people describe leadership as going first. Leaders go first. So reach out to people and they will reach back. All right, so as we get ready to conclude our time today, John Maxwell writes in his book, 21 Most Powerful Minutes in a Leader's Day. This is on page 159. Whether you have just taken over a leadership position or if you're well established in your organization, being connected with your people is vital to your success as a leader. Remember that the telltale sign of great leaders is not what they accomplish on their own, but what they have been able to accomplish through their people. And that only comes as a result of connection. So I hope that you can see, even from these first 2 days, how utterly important it is that we establish as leaders connections with our people, and how it will serve them, and how they will come to understand that we're not in it just for ourselves, but that we're in it for them as well. And when we combine our vision and our connecting with them, and they really buy into it, and they've had an opportunity to trust you, you had a chance to build trust with them, you're going to go places, and you're going to make together just a huge, huge impact. And so I just want to implore you, leaders, take time to connect with your people, and they will love you for it and follow you anywhere. So that's just a personal word of encouragement for you. So let's conclude then today with our question for reflection. Very simply, do you initiate connection with your people? So with that, we again just pray God's blessing on each and every one of you. And I'll just add this note as well. connecting with people, you don't have to take 25 minutes or 30 minutes to do that. It could just be, hi, how are you? You know, how's it going today? Or someone maybe is looking like they're not doing so well. You know, just asking them a simple question. You seem kind of down today. Is there anything going on? Just as simple as that. It's not threatening. People won't feel put off by that. You'll endear yourself to them because they will have had a sense, yeah, they care. And that's really where it comes from, is you demonstrate that you care about them, and they will respond. So with that, God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of the day. We'll look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow at 3:30. God bless you.